It is so easy to say that everything is bad right now. And then when you didn't think things could get any worse, it all of a sudden gets dark at like 11 a.m. It is not ideal. And for a lot of us, it feels like the problems we're facing are beyond our control. There is a big world out there, and like 4 billionaires and one brainworm control it all. But we can still try to control our personal lives and our own little immediate worlds with intentional choices. And going into the holiday season and the new year, one of those choices that can shake things up a bit is to end relationships that just are not working for you. Maybe it's a romantic relationship, and those can be so difficult to end. It is scary to choose to be alone or to choose to be financially independent. Or maybe it is a friendship that just isn't working for you that you need to end, or a job that you need to get away from, or a gym membership to get out of, or even your regular coffee order. If something is not working for you, I hope you can try to start fresh next year, because choosing to end something is the first step to starting something new. Let that be your project in 2025. Project 2025. That has such a nice ring to it. Oh, why does it sound so familiar and ominous? This is Choice Words. I'm Samantha Bee. My guest today is the incredibly funny Pete Holmes. We kind of inadvertently turned this episode into a relationship podcast. Maybe we should start one of those together. I was so into it. So I guess happy early Valentine's Day. So take a listen and make good choices. I'm really excited to be talking to you.
Oh, I know, Sam. How have we never met? Unless we have, in which case, let's start awkwardly.
Let's just stop. No, I actually think that we never have.
I don't think we have.
Except that we, what are you pouring? First of all, I want to know what you're pouring.
I'm urinating.
I'm just in a truck. I'm making a trucker bomb off to the side.
Oh my God, I saw one of those recently. Look at this mug. I'm in a hotel. Look at the mug.
Nice.
This
That's
mug says, it says you're not in a hotel. You live here now.
You live here. You're going to be here forever. Let's make it cozy.
There's not even branding on it.
Okay, where are you? Where you're traveling? Are you
from
touring?
The Midwest? Is this what I noticed?
I'm from Canada.
Oh,
Same
another
thing.
import.
Same
Another
thing.
fucking
Damn it.
import.
What the hell?
Rolling in to tell us what's wrong with our country. I'm so sorry. We didn't elect a wild bear to govern us and give us free tree medicine and smiles and handshakes. I'm so sorry.
When I need surgery, I just put my ear to the ground. I listen to the earth and it tells me what to do, and that's healthcare.
I had a dream that I was talking to one of my favorite filmmakers. His name is Matt Johnson. He's out of Toronto, and he was in my dream. I'm just now realizing last night. And I was kind of trying to do a Canadian accent to him. And other people were doing it, and I realized we were doing we were being ugly Americans doing like an obvious Canadian, and here you are doing it. That's the sort of thing that will only be meaningful to me.
No.
But I just woke up, so it's kind of weird.
Oh my God, where the hell are you? Are you in California?
Where are you? Are you in Iowa like me? I'm just a regular Canadian.
Aim salt to the earth, don't you know? Don't you know? Wait, have you've been to, wait, you filmed, okay, we have
I
so much
refuse
to
to
talk
answer
about.
any questions. I'm in San Diego. Look at this.
San Diego. Look at
that.
what?
Look at that.
Come on.
Oh,
I'm freezing. Come on.
It's actually quite cold. But I did a show last night.
Yeah.
And I only feel a little bit bad. The plan was to bring my wife and daughter.
Yeah.
And then that didn't work out. And I'm glad I did the show. I would have done the show, but I feel only a little bit guilty because my daughter's 6. So I had she still
Mm,
climbs in bed in the middle of the night and kicks
yeah.
us and all that sort of stuff. So I had like a real uninterrupted,
Mm,
beautiful night's rest. So
mhm,
there's a little bit of parental guilt, but Val is my wife is incredible and is not upset. I showed her all the pictures, and
mm.
there were so many dolphins, and she was only happy for me.
Oh my, she's a
No, I
generous
know
woman.
she's not one of us. I
I
meaning
don't,
that in the
yeah,
best way. I don't know if you
yeah,
count being
yeah.
from America's hat.
No, I wouldn't be happy if Jason was in San Diego and he sent and like a pod of dolphins
Yeah,
came to greet him and they were like,
yeah.
Jason,
They're
welcome.
fans.
Yeah,
That's where his fans are. I'm burning
that's
him for no reason. Oh, that's where his fans are?
they're under the sea, okay? They're intelligent undersea creatures.
I get recognized scuba diving. Look, my wife, I could talk, I'll talk to you this whole time about what an anomaly my wife is. She's an import, meaning I met her
Hmm.
not in LA
Yeah.
and then transplanted her. We don't live in LA anymore. But anyway, she's not an LA person. And I really love comedians. I'm not giving us any shade here, but like when you meet a truly heart of gold person,
Yeah.
you're like, oh God, I hope that's what everyone's doing. You know what I mean? I hope because that would be enough.
It's hard to it's hard to trust that it's real. That you're like, wait a minute, like, what are you doing?
Mm,
Why aren't you more mad about what's on deadline right now?
yeah, but Valerie's not a snooze, and sometimes hearts of gold types can be snoozes because they don't want to
Hmm.
talk shit about anything.
Yeah, you have to be able to
Um,
talk shit.
you got to be able to talk shit, and I need to know being the child of kind of like a crazy, not crazy, but a very confusing childhood. I need to know how people feel, and I need them to say what they mean, and I
Hmm.
need them to witness and mirror me and reflect me, so I feel heard, so I feel safe. And Val does all of those things. She's not just like making a pie and wiping off the counter. She's fierce.
No.
She's funny. She's talented, but she's also not. She teaches me to sort of calm down and open my heart and be embodied and like I'm like Bigfoot. I'm like friend. Like I'm learning how to be a friend. Like not have show business alliances, but actually like I'm on a reality show, but like
Hmm.
actually have friendship for its own sake. So she's like blossoming my inner reality and my heart and all that good stuff. And then like but I'm not like some idiot. I have value as well, and I'm watching Val
Hmm.
see what it can be to be appropriately competitive or focused or driven or
Hmm.
take up space. It's that sort of. I know this isn't a relationship podcast, but here we are, and I just had my coffee.
You know what? I appreciate this, and I'll say I'm gonna add to what you're saying because I do think that actually we don't talk enough about the enrichment of great relationships.
Yeah,
And
well, that's how it
like
should be. Yeah.
that's how it's supposed to be. I think we talk a lot, like kind of culturally, about like how hard it is, all so hard. And I'm like, it's not always that hard. Sometimes
Well,
it's very nice.
buckle up for Barftown because Valerie and I would put us up as one of the greats.
Yeah.
We get along incredibly well, and a
Hmm.
lot of it has to do with our similarity, but a lot of it has to do with there's some dynamism to it.
Right.
Meaning, it's like she's a hobbit. I would say that if
Hmm.
she was here.
Hmm.
So she's amazing at Christmas. She's making the house all cozy
Oh,
and nice, and
great.
she plans the dinners, and I'm the again the Bigfoot that's like benefiting from all the
Hmm.
smartest thing I do is I agree with Valerie. Like if she wants to go on a trip, my practical brain will be like, why would we do that? That will be stupid or whatever. Just
Sure.
shut the fuck up and go. And that is my but so she's a hobbit and
Hmm.
I, to flatter myself and stay in the Lord of the Rings, if I really flatter myself, I'd say I'm like a wizard. I'm like Gandalf, but really,
Sure.
I'm more like Aragorn, the human. He's fucking keeping it moving. He's keeping it
Yeah.
moving forward. He takes out his torch and he's scaring the bad guys away, and he brings home the fucking roast beast. Now I'm mixing metaphors, but like we learn from one another. One of the keys to our relationship is our life is exciting enough that we don't look for drama in our relationship. So my friend Nate Craig has this great joke about losing all your money in Vegas, and he goes, "Don't win it back at the buffet." And I feel like so many people are winning it back at the buffet,
Right.
meaning their life might not have enough novelty or even just literally conflict, and you're unconsciously
Right.
looking for conflict to like know who you are and to feel alive. You'd rather be miserable than not exist, so you'll pick a
Right.
fight or whatever it is. And one of the things I love about being a comedian is that like right now I'm in San Diego. I did a show. It was kind of weird. It was wild. It was difficult. It
Hmm.
was challenging. I had to move and jive and all this sort of stuff. And therefore, when I go home, it can be just gentle and mutual respect and generosity and kindness because we've both found, like, she makes short films and I do comedy, and we've both found a place to put that intense kinetic energy that needs to go
Hmm.
somewhere. And if you don't, you're gonna start being passive aggressive to your partner for lack of a better place to spend it.
This is great. I know that we did not, this is not a relationship based podcast, but my
Yeah.
husband and we've been married now, I have to actually think, but like together for almost 30 years,
Wow.
like dating since 1997. So, whatever that is, together since 1997.
Wow.
And like, it's not like sexy. It's not like it doesn't get good press to be like, well, actually, we really make each other laugh.
I,
Just like really make each other
Samantha,
laugh.
it's a cliche, but I'm going to give you a good one, I think. There's two
Yep.
things. One, you should make your partner laugh. I mean,
Yes.
if that's a value for you, and if that's not a value for you, I'm not saying that's insane. There's some people who are living a different kind of,
Hmm.
they're just a different color. For me, I need to laugh. Laughing is the sonar ping out going, are you seeing this? Are you
Hmm.
afraid? Would you like to feel a little bit better? Like right
Right.
now? Like, and I
Yeah.
need it. And it's how I interpret the world. And so being with a funny person, my wife is the funniest. I love her. I
Hmm.
say it to her all the time. I'm like, my favorite person, like I was attracted to my wife happens. I still am, obviously. I'm just saying I
Hmm.
was drawn to her physically. And then I was like, what are the chances that the inside of that Cadbury
Yeah.
cream egg is also the funniest, smartest, most emotionally brilliant person? But here's the one. So obviously, be funny is super important. It always makes me want to jump off a cliff when I see things that say, try to laugh once a day. I'm like, let's get that to once every
Oh,
5 minutes, please. Like,
whoa.
please.
I
Here's the
can't
one I can't wait to
imagine.
give you, Sam. I'm sorry. I'm busting to tell you
I
this.
love it.
I think in a relationship, you and your partner should edit a movie the same way. So if I gave you the raw
Oh.
footage of a movie, you and your partner should pace it the same way. And I know that sounds kind of crazy, and obviously you wouldn't pace it the same way if you did it independently. But if you're in a room together, and for those of you who haven't edited a movie, so many of us have because we have our phones and we're making little things. But Val and I edited, she was in the edit for so many episodes of my TV show.
Hmm.
I've watched cuts of her short films, and we always go, and that's when it ends. And then that's the opening shot of the next one. That's how long it is. So, what does that mean? It means when we're looking at reality and the way we'd like it to be, which is what
Hmm.
you're doing when you're editing something, we hear the music the same way. We're tuned into the same frequency. That if it's a morning scene. We're at Pete's in this hotel room. We want to see his coffee. We want to see the ocean. We want to see the bed because it's messy and maybe he didn't sleep well. How long do we linger on each of those shots?
Hmm.
Similar people will have similar guesses on that because it's how long you would look at those things. It's
Right.
how you're living. A frantic person, not my style.
Yeah.
Val is like ah, and that's how I want to live my life. So when you're with a person who sees and interprets reality, which you can see in editing, but you can also see in their sense of humor, I think that is the key to knowing whether or not you're with the right person.
Yeah, it's like that's so I love how you said that. It's like a it is like a frequency that you're on and you
It
kind
is.
of and sometimes you fall out of that frequency like for different reasons, but you always kind of it's kind of the undercurrent of your
Yes,
existence together.
that's right. Yeah,
It's
you
just
can lose the beat, but you'll come back. It's like your
yeah.
heartbeat. I think there's
Yeah,
a reason we use heart as the image for romance. It's like our hearts are sort of synced. We see reality like this. Sometimes you meet somebody and you're just like, Jesus Christ, like who are you for? It's not me. You know what I mean? And I don't even mean romantically. I'm just like,
right.
holy God, you're having
Huh,
a different, and the ratios are off. How much are you thinking? How much are you feeling? How much are you overwhelmed? Are you a sensory person? Are you a
right.
sound person? Are you a words person? And that's how you kind of either link up or pleasantly don't link up with somebody, because that can work as well.
And I do think that that also the continuum of that goes through parenting as well. Like if you kind of see the world in the same way and you're on that
That's
beam together, it
Yep.
feeds your parenting in a very healthy way.
And that's a more relatable, and this, contributes to your broader appeal. I'm just
Mhm.
kidding.
Exactly. And then your Q rating goes like through the roof or
Yeah, your Q
whatever
rating
it
is
is.
through the roof. Q rating is a weird test they have if TV characters are likable. And fun fact, sorry, the only one I know is in one of the episodes of Crashing, I performed oral sex on a woman. Obviously, I didn't
Mhm.
really, but it was portrayed. And somebody said, like, your Q rating is going to go through the roof. That's the first time I heard of that.
Oh my God.
And I was like, really? That's not why we did it. Anyway, um, you just said the more relatable way to understand. I'm saying editing a film. That's kind of weird. Not many people would
No, I
relate.
like it.
But when you have a child, what does the house sound like? That's a short film. That's like
Right.
a deliberate tone you're setting. What does the car sound like? What does it sound like when you're explaining something? And a lot of times when children, I think, increase friction, and I don't just mean by stressing us out, I mean like your parenting styles are different. It's really putting the rubber to the road. Like the way you interpret reality and the way you think reality should be is different from the way that I interpret reality and think
Hmm.
reality should be. Luckily, Val and I interpret reality and think it should be the same thing. So we've
Right.
never, our daughter's only 6, but we've never had a parenting. And my daughter is the only person that I would, you
Hmm.
know, stomach the discomfort of being like, "Can I talk to you for a second?" I've never had to do that with Val.
Right.
She's such a gift.
It's actually kind of it's rare to have these types of conversations. Like it is kind of like a little gift. It's like a little present that you gave me because
I love that. Well, not to be weird, but I love that you were available for it, because that I know we're supposed to talk about
yeah,
choices,
and we kind of are. I think we
and we
actually
are.
are. Your choice of partner or like how you choose each other is actually it's a big
It's big.
one.
I was listening to this amazing podcast. I'll plug it, called the Telepathy Tapes, and it's about
Mm.
how nonverbal autistic kids and grown-ups are demonstrating like all these abilities that we don't understand, and it's not like an
Mm.
isolated phenomenon. And this
Mm.
is going to sound absurd, or actually, I hope it doesn't, because you hear about how nonverbal autistic children need a partner. And I don't mean a romantic partner. They need another person to help touch their hand, give them a sense of their body, of reality, and help them spell, which is how they
Mhm.
speak. And it's like another nervous system. Obviously, that's what especially a mother, but a father as well, is like to a child. You can regulate them before they can regulate. But frankly, Sam, I relate to that. Choosing a
Mm.
partner is like once you start getting the right nutrients and support that you need, and sometimes it's embarrassing. I'm like, I have to be real with myself and with Valerie and be like, look, I just am this way. I am a baby. I'm very sensitive. Sometimes I'll have this, or please just tell me I'm good. Please just think I'm funny. Please just, whatever it might be. I can't actually,
Yeah.
I'm not blanking. I just can't quite access it. But I'll tell Valerie point blank, like, I'm not proud of it, but these are the ABCs of me. I'll give you one. Like, if we go to a dinner party, please don't ignore me. I can't handle it. I'll concede that's 100% my ego, But ego schmigo, he's along for the ride. And I, because of my childhood, interpret being neglected as death. It's a complete overreaction. And if you want me to start making like inappropriate jokes to
Mhm.
get your attention, or I'll phrase it in the positive, if you want to stop me from making inappropriate jokes to get attention like a child,
Mhm.
just touch my hand every once in a while. And we talk about that. So going back to the nonverbals, the reason why I don't think this is absurd is these are people. You know what I mean? We think of them as other. Like, how dare Pete relate to a nonverbal autistic person? But I do. I need a whole other person. I need a whole other nervous system to touch me. Literally, the example I gave is touch my hand and
Mm.
tell me I'm here and put me in my body. I have the chills. So I don't vanish at
Wow.
a dinner party is very similar to touch my hand so I know where I am in space and so I can speak to you. I don't see that as, oh, wow, that's so fucking weird. I'm like, I get it. So finding a person that can hold you and express you and I might even say heal you, but nourish you certainly
Right.
is the hugest choice. And when I wrote down my choices, I had two. One of them was ending a relationship that I was terrified to end. So that was the choice that led to Valerie.
That's a huge choice.
It
That's a
is.
that's a big one. Is that are you thinking about because we will talk about did want to talk about crashing because that was
Sure.
semi autobiographical. Is that the relationship that you're talking about?
No,
Ending that? No?
she ended that, and that was its
Okay.
own grace. I got married when I was 28. No, I'm sorry, 22. Sorry, I
Mhm.
just made it make more sense. I was 22 when I was 28. She left. That wasn't my choice. If
Mhm.
I could change it, I wouldn't change it. That would be my sort of
Yeah.
thought experiment version of choice. But what ended up happening after my wife and I split, I was 28. I dated. Oh, it doesn't matter. It was like two women, three. The third woman I dated after my marriage ended. I about 4 months into it knew that it wasn't right.
Okay.
And I'm sticking around for 8 more months. I mean,
Sure.
that's crazy. And that's the big choice. When I find it took 10 times because
Mm.
it's hard to say this, but she really scared me. She was a very frightening person.
Mhm.
I think the words we would use gaslighting. We might even say like
Oh,
emotionally kind of fringing on abuse. I certainly felt quarantined, one of those relationships where it's like,
okay.
I don't want you having any friends.
Ooh,
It was,
yep.
yeah, you blow up the
Mhm.
bridges and you close the tunnels and you bubble us. And
Yeah.
I was drinking a lot. I think that had a lot to do with it. I was like 285 pounds. I'm like 235
Wow.
now. So a lot unhealthy. Sorry, I'm going to let you host and ask me what's interesting
No.
about this to you. But it was one of those relationships where I knew I had to get out, but I was, and you hear this a lot, or let's say you see this on Lifetime a lot, where it's the woman that's like talking to her friends, like, "How do I get out of this? You don't understand. I'm scared."
Mhm.
But that was me. I was like, I don't know how to do it.
It is very hard to get out of relationships. It is very hard.
Yeah.
Can I ask, did she agree with you that together it just wasn't really work? Like, was it, I often think it's so interesting when one person ends a relationship, how often the person is blindsided, but so clearly it was a bad fit and in an unhealthy
Yeah.
relationship. Like, why would anyone want to be in it?
I agree. From where I was sitting, I was like, I had never fought with anybody in my life, but we're like fighting. And a lot of the fights were just her screaming at me because I'm very
Oh,
passive. But that's still a fight, I guess.
yeah.
So to me, I'm like trying to end it. And I was like, well, clearly we're not happy.
Yeah.
But some people, I think that is normal. I don't know. I don't think that was as big of a red flag to her. Like, we're
Right.
fighting, we're working things out. I'm like, this doesn't work for me. This is not what I'm looking for.
Did you feel like you were open to your marriage to Val because you were willing to just be alone? You were like, I'd rather be alone
Yeah.
than live like this. And I just need a clean slate.
So this sort of rocky relationship did a lot of things for me, which I didn't realize. we don't have time to get into what it did. It helped me see my family, my parents in a
Mm.
clearer way.
Mhm.
So when I think of this person, I try to have love for her and think like she sort of broke me out of the prison of my parents. Like
Oh,
she was like a bomb. Like she was loud and brassy and wild, and it like shook up my family and made me look at things that I
mhm.
wasn't looking at, that another nice, sweet, kind of tame relationship wouldn't have done.
Right.
So it really brought to the forefront stuff that needed to be brought to the forefront once we ended it. And I do want to say, like, the advice was just because something ends doesn't mean it was a failure. That was key.
Mhm.
Because I kept thinking, like, I didn't want to hurt her. And it was like, well, by being dishonest, you're actually being way more hurtful. You're being a
Right.
psychopath.
Right.
If you don't want to be with them and you're staying with them to postpone a future hurt, you're just giving them a long. It's like when you win the lottery, you're
Right.
taking it in monthly sums instead of just do it one smaller sum, a more
Right.
highly taxed sum right now, like half the money, but right now. That's what a breakup is. It's not a failure. So anyway, yes, after that relationship, and I was feeling very rocked and raw, and
Mhm.
kind of like got just a little taste of like, oh, this is what people are saying when like you meet somebody, you don't even know who they are. You know, it's
Yeah.
just some person, and now you're enmeshed, and you might not be compatible in the least. So once we split, I moved, and then I lost 50 pounds very, very quickly. And I pledged, I was like, I'm going to be single for a year. Like, I'll go on dates, but I didn't say a year. I ended up being single for about a year, but I was like, at least a year.
Mhm.
I'm just going to be with me. I'm going to be alone. And Sam, the reason why that's a cliche is because it's true. It's just me. It's just
Yeah.
me. It's not a partner saying, let's do spring cleaning. Or it was just me taking care of myself, and that autonomy was huge. I really believe that there was something to that move. The universe seems to like a domino effect. It's like once you start taking up space and saying, I deserve to be in a relationship where I'm not scared and being yelled at, and I want to be safe, I want to be warm, I want to be cared for, and all of that good
Right.
stuff. Once that happens, your face relaxes, your body relaxes.
Right.
You go in for that interview as a person who doesn't fucking accept a horseshit relationship. And now I'm meeting to write on some show, and I'm that guy. I'm not the defeated guy. I'm the
Mhm.
guy that said, fuck that shit. And that starts a momentum. And then I ended up getting this writing show. And while I was doing that, it was on the Warner Brothers lot. I would leave and go and do a set on Conan and come back. And it was that set on Conan that led to my talk show. And then my talk show, Judd was a fan of it. That led to Crashing. And then Crashing is when I met Val a little bit before that. I met Val during the talk show. What I'm saying is, I'm not one of those people that's like, go and manifest it. I think that can be harmful to say
Mhm.
that people that are stuck in a rut, well, why aren't you just manifest something better? But you can have agency. You can claim agency over small little areas of your life. And that action, and I'm not saying we need to zoom out and look at this from like a God's eye view of the Milky Way, but in the small, in the micro, that movement, that healthier breakfast choice, because I had to lose all this
Yeah.
weight, that walk that I would take, that ending that relationship leads to a different guy that interviews for that job, that gets that job. Now I'm thriving. I have a stability, and I feel more emboldened to all the things that I did that turned my life around, that opened up my heart and my reality to meeting somebody like Valerie.
Oh my goodness. This is great. I don't even like I never listen to relationship things. Like I don't that's not I only
Yeah,
like if I'm seeking entertainment, it's always like news based or like the story about the troubles in Ireland. Like it's never just
yeah.
like I don't relax into this is all of those things like delivered by you. Are you
Oh,
I'm so
I'm
I
with you.
love it.
I
I love
I
it.
don't run to those things either. So
But
we're same.
it's a little bit like uh, it's I've just never heard it articulated so beautifully. It's like you have to be busy. You have to be an appealing person to for someone to want to partner with, and that means you
Right.
have to be like a whole person who has
Yeah.
like a life that is interesting with or without someone else,
Well,
or
that is key.
that you're doing something alone or with someone that is like gives you value and makes you feel confident and good about yourself. Like,
Right. And then you're going to a relationship to give, not to get, but you're
yes.
going as a
Oh,
place to share. And so
yes.
many of us, I think, are just like, and it's not even our fault. It's sort of the mythology of the Western romance. It's like this person's going to come in my life and fix me and save me and all that shit. And
Right.
I know I said that Val fixes me and saves me and all that shit. But the reason why that's not a chore or a burden is because I've remained and make effort to remain a dynamic and self sufficient person. That
Right.
doesn't mean that Val and I aren't together every second. We're a PB&J style relationship. We're not a bento box. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? We're not, I'm not like, oh
Sure.
yeah, Val's over there. I check in with her every time. We're like hardcore together. We love being together, physically together all
Right.
the time. We like it. You know, there's this Carl Jung quote that haunts me and I love it. It also comforts me. He says the greatest burden a parent can put on a child is their own unfulfilled dreams or
Mm.
something like that. And I was
Hmm.
like, that's so correct. I we started this conversation by saying, I'm trying to put wind in Valerie's sails. She just started the short film thing. She just made her first. It's getting all these awards. It's really exciting. But like I'm trying to like put air behind
Right.
her, put wind behind her. She's doing that to me. And then those versions of ourselves can have a much healthier relationship.
She's additive to you, but you're additive to her. Like, there's
And
a
then our daughter sees her mom and her dad getting it. And it
yeah.
doesn't have to be show business. It was funny when I started listing the things that my breakup led to. They're all like these show business accolades. They
Sure.
don't have to be show business accolades. I think anybody listening would know that. I'm not saying end your relationship and you'll get TV shows. That was the track I was on anyway. But like the things you're after will become more available, I would say. You'll have
Yeah.
clearer eyes to see them at the very least.
I think about sorry, I keep talking about my relationship too, but I'm like it's all bringing this stuff up. It's like and also one of you will falter and I feel like for us it's very I think of like fluid. I think of like kind of like a liquid or something. So like when I'm at a lower point, Jason kind of fills in that space where I'm kind of like lower than him. Like we're always
Yes.
trying to find equilibrium. But
Yeah.
when one is out of equilibrium, the other is kind of like covering that that space.
We're
So
back to the
we're just
nonverbal
like
autistic. It's like
we're
you
filling in.
help, then I'll
We're
help. Yeah.
yeah, you help, I help. I'm ahead in this area, then you pull ahead in this area. Like we're just filling in each other's where we're finding a deficit or where we're at a
Yeah.
lower place or we're not in physical health or something like that because we've had like health issues come up and then you're like in a low place the other one's picks up the kind of like runs with it like takes the
Hmm.
burden of the family stuff and like makes all the
Yeah.
it's it's like a healthy just a healthy equilibrium you're always trying to find it
That's exactly right.
it's like a safe place it's a safe place it's your safe space
Hmm.
that you can thrive and
Hmm.
it's like you're making I always think of the Von Trapp family singers. Not that that's the perfect analogy, but it's like a family business.
Hmm.
Like you're doing well, I'm doing well, or I'm doing less well. We're just moving forward as a family, no matter what.
Hmm.
We're just moving
Hmm.
forward as a family. Do you okay? So what is your so are you on a full tour? Like are you touring? Are you building another special? Is that what
I
you're
am.
working
I'm
toward?
filming it
Oh,
in
you are.
18 days.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah,
That's
which is actually it's
exciting.
funny. It is exciting when you say that. It should be like going out for your driver's license or something. It should be a nerve wracking thing,
Hmm.
but you know you're ready to film a special when it's not a nerve-wracking thing. Like if you're,
Right.
for comedians, I think if you're like, oh no, I'm filming my special, it's like, well, maybe you should tour it a few dozen more times if you're feeling that way. And that's not me being cocky, because I still have to show up, and I still and am of course hoping that it goes very well.
Yeah.
Um, and there always are factors that you can't control. So there's some humility there. But I've done my part. I've run it enough times, and I'm actually starting to get bored of it. That's the other
Oh,
sign
okay.
where you're like, you need to film it, because the way that I do it is you finish your hour, you set the tape date, and then you start going back. You see on the calendar that you're going to be going back to cities you were already at. So you need to
Mm,
write the new hour. So then you're doing your old hour half, and then 30 minutes of new, and then that becomes 40, and then that becomes an hour. And then when you're going back to Utah, you're doing a different show than you were there the last time. So it's a
okay.
never ending Bob Dylan style tour, but I only tour once a month, usually, sometimes twice a month, but
Okay.
usually once a month.
Okay. Okay. Because you
So
this
it's
just
not
to
a lot.
keep the schedule pleasant.
Yes. And that's another big talking point for me is balance. And there's a
Hmm.
lot of talk about it, but not a lot of people are going for it. So I don't say that to be cocky or proud. I'm just saying I wish there were more examples of not just show business people, but any person. We all act like American corporations. We're all just going, if we don't have a better year than last year, we're a failure.
Oh,
And it's like,
listen.
where did that come from? I'll tell you where it came from. It came from capitalism. It came from
Capitalism.
the Western idea
Yes.
of commerce, right? But we are
Yes.
not Sears, and we're not Procter and Gamble. We're human beings. So, like I say with pride, I try to tour it once a month. Sometimes, if money gets tight, I'll do two a month or whatever it is.
Hmm.
But like once a month is just enough stand up for me. It's like an
Yeah.
alter ego.
Yep.
It keeps me, it's what we're talking about. I get to swashbuckle. I grab a rope. I go from the pirate ship of my family, and I swing onto a pirate ship, and I have a knife, and I fight bad guys for a while, and I swing back. Just enough peril, just enough challenge, just enough growth, just enough expression that I can come back to the family and be incredibly dull for the other 3 weeks of the month and just there. Just some
Oh, yeah.
fucking guy who's there.
Yes. I actually think you're really speaking my language. I've talked about it a lot on this podcast. I ask this question of a lot of people because it is an interior conversation I have all the time, which is like, when is enough? When is actually enough? Like, how much do you need in
Yeah,
your life to be able to afford a life that is like a comfortable place where you could just live forever in
yeah,
that place without always wanting more? Like, at what point do you look around and go, oh, I'm very happy in this place, not this physical place, but just in the place where I am. And I don't really need more. And I'm creative on these days so that I could just like make Christmas cookies for the next
yeah,
3 weeks and try out
yeah,
new recipes. Like,
yeah.
I love that.
Well, it's funny, I'm doing this event for Adam McKay tonight. It's an
Hmm.
environmental thing, and that's a cause that's close to my heart, and it's close to
Yeah.
Adam's heart, obviously. And they were saying that they gave me this interesting statistic that it's like 80% of the, let's say, global warming, but you know what I mean by that, like
Yeah.
the problems, 80% comes from something like 20 companies, and there's 350 million companies, right? So, and by the way, that statistic, you should fact check that, but that's the essence
Sure.
of the statistic, that it's only 20 companies that are making 80% of, let's just say, the problem. But, I'm a spiritual person, meaning I enjoy
Yes.
things like Buddhism, and I like looking at the ego, and I like having conversations like what we're having. Because the question that I would bring to that is, but what percentage of the 350 million companies, given the opportunity, would behave in the exact same manner as the
Mm.
20 companies? And the answer, I would say, is 100%, meaning maybe not 100, but very close to 100. Meaning, even an ethical company like, let's say, Tom's Shoes or something,
Hmm.
if you legislate things that make it legal and rewarded to fuck the planet and make billions of dollars, it's very easy to forego your values. And this is what we're talking about with stand-up schedules too. It's very easy to forego your values just on a personal level and miss your child's childhood, or
Mhm.
miss your wife, or miss your family, whatever it is. We'll fuck up our own planets. So of course we'll fuck up the planet. And
Right.
the issue isn't that it's 20 companies doing 80%. The issue is we don't have a culture that encourages taking a look at the nature of what I would call the ego. What you could just say is seeking and resisting. So there's this teacher, Sadhguru, who makes this interesting point. He goes, if you had the whole world, if you, Samantha, owned the whole world,
Mhm.
you have it all. It's all yours. How long before you want the moon? And then how long before you want Mars? It's the nature of the beast. So we need some subtle, nuanced, training in going, it's never enough. And the first step is to acknowledge that and go, oh my God, it's not out there. The answer
Right.
isn't out there. It will never be enough. I'm also teaching this to my daughter. But that's also literally true. You see, Elon Musk literally wants to go to Mars.
Mhm.
It's literally true. He can have this whole planet. He wants Mars. That's just the
Yeah.
nature of the ego. It seeks and it resists. That's not what it does. That's actually what it is. It's made of seeking and resisting. So the reason why spiritual things are interesting to me, and I don't mean deities that we pray to or ceremonies
Sure.
that we enact, I mean some sort of system to investigate the board, the board up
Mhm.
here. Who's talking and who are we listening to? And who told you that you're not enough? And was
Right.
that your voice in the first place? And
Right.
is there a part of you that is always enough, that already has it, that already is it, and can just relax into that like you would sink into a hot bath after a long day in the cold and just rest as what you are? That's what the spiritual pursuit is for me. I don't know how we got on that, but I do like
I don't know
sharing
either. I like it. And I also think that having little children and having kids in your life, if you are paying attention to them and you are parenting them, they disrupt your like ego version of yourself so completely. Like they just like turn upside down everything you thought you were. You just surrender to it,
Yeah,
hopefully, and
yeah,
it's incredible. They just effectively disabuse you of all of your pride and all of the things that
yeah.
and like in the best possible way.
I
if you
completely agree.
really if you really let yourself just surrender to it and serve
Completely.
them, it's great. Like serve
That actually
them.
goes back to the breakup strategy. Is I can't tell my daughter that getting the toy won't make her happy. You have to concede the point. You have to say it will make you happy. And
Mhm.
she's too young for this, but you have to be like, but this is what I always want to say. I don't say this. I want to go, can you remember what toy we bought yesterday?
Oh.
That would make me a dick. But when she gets older, and it's
Mhm.
the work I'm doing on myself too, it's the holiday season and we're trying to do fewer and fewer things. We want
Mhm.
less things and more friends coming over for dinner. Like we want more
Right.
of that. Um, but I catch myself going like, oh, this is one of the things my family asked for. Oh, I'll get the best one there is. And it's like, where did these voices in my own
Yeah.
little board come from? Well, they were installed.
They were installed. They
They
were
were installed,
installed.
yeah. Hostily.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my
Yeah.
God. This was so lovely. I feel like your specials, I'm excited for your taping. I hope it
Thank
goes
you.
swimmingly. And I hope you have an
Preach.
incredible holiday. You're in like one of the hugest Christmas movies, like which we didn't talk about yet,
Right.
but you are the Dallas
Eh,
Jenkins movie. Come on. That's
eh.
exciting. Do you
I'm just
love
kidding.
it? I love a
No,
Christmas movie.
honestly, I was just talking to my friend that did the show last night with me, and I was like, it's really sweet. You and I both know that having an HBO show is like, in quotes, a bigger deal, like
Hmm.
a rarer gem than being in a movie.
Sure.
But I never saw my father like he was so
Oh,
proud. And because I was in a movie that was in the
Sure.
theaters. And look, I appreciate both. I don't mean to be weighing and measuring which achievement is cooler. I think they're all cool. I'm grateful for all of them. But when I saw my dad, who went and saw it in the theaters, he was like, oh my God, like it was there with the popcorn and the jujubes and my son.
Oh my God, you are so big. You are so
Yeah.
big.
Honestly, we can't handle it. I know we're wrapping up, but it's biolocating. As human beings, we think that's so interesting. My father's watching me on a screen, but he knows I'm also somewhere else. It's literally magic. And he's like, and I'm giant and I'm loud. And like that was an experience for him. So, yes, it is out in theaters. I think Dallas and Judy Greer, who's in it, did a fantastic job, and people should go see it if they want to see a great holiday movie.
And
it's a Christmas movie.
It's a Christmas movie, and
it's not a holiday movie. It's decidedly.
I hope that you put your special to rest. That you tape it, it goes incredibly, and then you have a lot of dinner parties.
Yeah,
and like actual home things that you do a lot of nesting stuff and really like kill it at the holidays.
Look. One last little tidbit here.
Yes.
And Val, my wife, the Hobbit, and me, the Strider, the Aragorn, we agree. It took me so long to figure this out. You don't want to do nothing. You think you want to do nothing. Like the movie Office Space. Like, I just want to do nothing. You don't actually want to do nothing. Nothing builds like a plaque in your throat. It atrophies you. It starts to kill you. You can't tolerate it. You need something. So what you really want to do is nothing after you did something that scares you. So that's why I'm really looking forward to the taping.
Yes.
And then the weeks after, where I am going to do a intense nothing. Like it's going to be shocking how nothing I do. How nothing I do. So, but it's you can't just do that. It's not as sweet as on the other side of something that was a little frightening. So I'm really excited.
You have to do something spicy, and then you can lay down. Then you get to lay down and read a book.
The old folks were right. Put in the day's work and then read the book.
So nice. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Okay. Well, have a great Christmas.
Hey, preach. Great. Best Christmas pageant ever.
This was so lovely. Thank you so much. This was a
My
lovely
pleasure.
Conversation. That was Pete Holmes, and I had no choice but to look up one thing. Pete is preparing to record his 6th comedy special, which is a huge accomplishment. But I had to know who has the most specials ever. Oh my God, it is Kathy Griffin. She has 20 specials. She is a legend. Okay, thank you so much for joining us. I'm Samantha Bee. See you next week for some more choice words. Thank you for listening to Choice Words, which was created by and is hosted by me. The show is produced by Svea Baron-Reinstein with editing and additional producing by Josh Richmond. We're distributed by Lemonada Media, and you can find me at RealSamB on X and Instagram. Follow Choice Words wherever you get your podcasts or listen ad-free on Amazon Music with your Prime membership.